A winter classic is coming back to Vermont. The Vermont Farm Show is looking to return and they want your help. We'll learn today how organizers are bringing back the annual agricultural celebration. Good afternoon and welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolene Whitney. Since the 1930s, the Vermont Farm Show served farmers with an annual gathering that included association meetings, a trade show, and product competitions. This midwinter event was enjoyed by folks of all ages and provided an opportunity for farmers to connect in person and to learn about services and innovation in their industry. Theresa Snow is the Vermont Farm Show Board President, and Dave Martin serves as the treasurer of the organization. We're happy to have you.
It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Theresa, let's start with you. When was the last farm show?
The last farm show happened in January of 2020, and it was held at the Champlain Valley Exposition, where most folks are familiar with the fairgrounds there.
Absolutely. And you haven't been resting on your laurels ever since, so what have you folks been up to?
Right, so Dave may have more context than I do. I've only been on the board a year and a half-ish, but my understanding is the board considered a virtual gathering for 2021. They had organized an in-person gathering for 2022, but with a spike in COVID cases, they chose very close to the date that the event would have occurred to not hold that event. And since that time, the board has been evaluating how to have a farm show that can be successful financially and really serve Vermont's broad agricultural community.
Sure.
That's a pretty good summary. We tried to pull off the 2022 show, and we're really well organized, and I even started selling slots to exhibitors. But COVID spiked again, so we had to shut down.
But you're trying to come back this year?
We are trying to come back in 2026.
Okay, great.
And going through reaching out to folks to get an idea about what folks would like to see in the farm show. Agriculture has changed a lot since 1937. I mean, a lot. And we're trying to meet those needs, find out what people would be interested in seeing at the farm show, and seeing what we can do to support smaller scale agriculture, because that's one of the changes in agriculture in Vermont. There's a lot of folks who are entrepreneurs who are trying to get into agriculture on a smaller scale based business, and we want to meet their needs too, and also want to reach out to the public, and what would the public be interested in seeing at the farm shows. So sure. Theresa has been organizing an attempt to connect with everybody in the community to get their insights and their thoughts. And so far we've got some great thoughts.
Great.
And at this point, that's sort of our main goal, is to hear from everybody. And we have a website that folks can go to, vtfarmshow.org. .com.
So close.
Yeah, I got to be careful on that. And it's a great site. There's an opportunity to fill out a survey. There's a list of public meetings, a list of Zoom meetings that we're scheduling. I would encourage people to go to the top of the website. There's a section called History.
Great.
There's a drop-down menu there that starts in 1937. There's a video about the 1993 farm show in the Memorial Auditorium in Barrie, which is, I just find that person really interesting.
Sure.
And if you drop farther down on the menu, there's a series of pictures for various farm shows going back several years, which I just find it to be interesting.
Yeah. So. And what are you hearing when people are looking to the future? What has your feedback been so far?
Well, a lot of folks just want to see the farm show come back. And so that's really great information. But we're also getting different input around what should be the priority, who should the audience be, what might be the best location, the best time of year, how many days. So we're getting a lot of diverse input. How can we meet and represent the broad diversity in agriculture, from the 5-cow, smaller kind of homestead-esque operation to the 2,000-cow operation, but also, how do we represent the growing hemp and cannabis industry, or growing hops, or what about the medicinal herb industry? But also, there's a lot of agricultural activities that don't necessarily produce food. So then there's things like fiber, like wool and draft horse use in logging. And so I think considering the broad landscape and agricultural activities in Vermont, we're trying to figure out how, because there's not an event that currently does this, and we're hearing people notice that there's a lot of siloed events. So whether it's the Vegetable and Berry Growers Association has their annual meeting, the beekeepers have their annual meeting, etc. But is there an event that holds all of this under one umbrella? And we hear a lot about the future of agriculture, and I think not just the changing landscape in the sense of what does it mean to be a farmer in Vermont, but what about the future farmers? So a lot of people have brought up education and youth engagement, but then also like how are we engaging the general public in this event? How is this event appealing to the general public? And I like Wendell Berry's quote of eating is an agricultural act. So farming and food system and agriculture really touches all areas of our lives.
And this is kind of a time of year when maybe the general public isn't thinking about farming as much. So are you considering changing it for midwinter, or do you like this time of year for the event?
We're hearing a lot of different responses, but we're finding that a lot of folks are reinforcing that, well, the event has always happened at the end of January. It probably is the best time if our priority is to serve farmers. It's a relatively quiet time of the year. It's not haying season. People aren't necessarily tapping trees quite yet. Lambs aren't coming. You're maybe starting your onion seeds, but you're really not starting seeds. So it's a moment of that's a bit quieter for the agricultural community. So.
And Dave, you already touched on a couple of the different locations this has been set at before. So are you considering keeping it at the expo, which people are used to?
That's one of the things we're looking at. What location is best? I personally like the setup at Champlain Valley Expo. They have been wonderful to deal with and supportive. Some folks have expressed concerns that if you're in Brattleboro, it's a long drive up to Champlain Valley Expo. So we're juggling all those issues and trying to make sense out of it. And like Theresa and I are saying, we're trying to get everybody's input and what their thoughts are. And we would encourage people, if you have an idea, share it with us. Let us know. Don't worry about whether it makes sense or not. Just let us know, because we're trying to be responsive.
Sure.
And gather that input.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
a lot of folks have indicated something more central. A lot of folks reminisce about the Berry Auditorium. We were growing out of that space, is my understanding. Parking was sometimes challenging. And some folks have even daydreamed about something on a farm, or maybe there's 2 events in the year that are regional. Folks have referenced the Common Ground Fair in Maine, which is a big fall event that's outdoors, a lot of demonstrations. So while a lot of folks think of the old farm show as it was, we're also getting some interesting perspectives around how could it potentially change as well.
So no ideas are too far-fetched, send them in.
None are too far-fetched.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And one of the other things we're looking at it, historically it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in January. And if you were a dairy farmer, January is pretty slow. And if you're a dairy farmer, every day of the week is the same. So that made sense back then. But these days, a lot of our farmers are smaller scale, and they have a partner that works. They have children. So we're looking at, one of the things we're really looking at is having it, one of the days be a Saturday. That would open us up to a wider audience, make it easier for folks to attend. So that's just one of the ideas that's been tossed around.
Yeah, another way you're thinking of kind of changing with the changing farming.
Yeah.
And you have some events that have always been pretty popular. You've got consumer nights, you've got cooking contests. Are you looking at bringing all those back, or feeling it out?
It really depends on what we hear from folks. I think what's going to serve Vermont best, what's going to serve the broad category of farmer and agriculture, but what's going to engage the general public and youth as well. So people did like consumer night, but can we make food more present and available during more of the show? People enjoyed the political poll, which was the milking contest and the Capitol cook-off. But can we get legislators there at a different time, throughout the event, more accessible to people? Folks really comment about just seeing individuals in person at this event was really powerful. So how can we make sure that the event celebrates agriculture, the future of agriculture in Vermont, as well as the community around farming and food? And folks have even mentioned, like, you know, is there some sort of a barn dance at this event? So, you know, there's a lot of great ideas we're hearing.
Absolutely. And we're almost out of time, but I want to ask Dave about the product contests. Are you planning on bringing those back, or is it another thing where you're...
That was really popular, and that was part of the Fairs Association. All the state fairs have product contests. And we are really looking at that. I think Extension helped us manage that. It's a lot of work to put on the product contest. I mean, I don't know that people really understand just how much is involved in that. But it was very popular, and that's one of the things we're looking at bringing back. And I at a meeting recently, when the Extension folks, you know, expressed an interest in helping us set that up again.
Sure.
So like Theresa and I were saying, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think a product contest can really highlight that diversity in agriculture too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave, you're a sheep farmer. Did you ever participate in the product contest?
I did not, although I organized them at the Vermont Sheep and Goat Association. We had a booth and we had a fiber contest there, and we organized people to bring in samples of their hand spinning, and you know, issued prizes. And I, as a sheep farmer, have attended the farm show and our annual meetings every year for, I don't know, a long time.
Yeah, so I'm sure you'll be happy to see it coming back.
Yeah. It's a great event for Vermont Sheep and Goat Association. We really enjoyed being there and making that contact with the public, which I think is one of the advantages of an exhibitor being at the farm show.
Sure.
You're in one spot, and you get to meet a lot of the public and get your message out to the public. And we want to create an event that the exhibitors value coming, because it's important that it appeals to the exhibitors as well as the visitors. They're sort of, they go together.
Absolutely, and I'm afraid we're out of time, but thank you both for joining us today. A lot to look forward to for next year. And if you'd like to be part of the revision of the Vermont Farm Show, you can visit their website, vermontfarmshow.com. That's easy to remember, and you can take the survey there. You can find schedules for their community gathering sessions, some history, as we heard, when one of those virtual meetings will be taking place. Tons of information on there. And I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX, who are always ready to put on a show. I'm Jolie Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.